Hello, this is Ben119 and welcome back to another video. Today I'm going to carry on with my Twilight Princess HD dungeon design video. So we are in part number 2 of dungeon number 6 and we are about to fight Darknut, which is the mini boss. So Darknut is a pretty cool mini boss of this dungeon. I really like the way they introduce him. He's got a really good cutscene in my opinion. I really like the music in the Darknut fights. Well, it's the same music they use for the mini bosses in Snow Peak and City in the Sky, but it's pretty cool still. This mini boss, if you don't have any of the hidden skills, this is actually a really difficult mini boss. If you have the hidden skills, it can still be quite difficult, but once you figure out how to utilize the skills, it makes the boss really fun and easy. So as you can see right here, what you kind of want to do is you kind of want to block him, you want to dodge him, and then you want to hit him when you can. And once you get to the halfway point, all of his armor will be destroyed, so then you can fight him like 1-to-1, I guess. Well, it was that before, but you know. So if anything, I think the second phase is actually harder because he's faster. Like that, he can move out the way a lot quicker. So what you need to do is you have to basically either jump slash him and then start attacking him. You kind of need to just find an opening and then just start hitting him. But it can be quite hard to do that, especially if you don't have any of the hidden skills. You kind of have to be quite fast, so you have to have good reaction to this fight in my opinion. So we're nearly done with him, just a bit more fighting to do. There we go, we got him. So that is Darknut. I think he's a really good mini boss. I think he's also pretty difficult as well. You do see more Darknuts after this point, basically. So that's pretty cool, I guess. They are quite hard enemies, to be fair, so I guess that's why they're only just adding them now. I think if they're any earlier in the game, you might not have enough hearts to fight them, or they might just be too challenging for you at that point. Because they do require like a lot of hidden skills to be defeated pretty easily. If you don't have the hidden skills, I'm not even sure how you would go about fighting them. I guess it'd just take a while and you'd have to be really skilled. But the dungeon item, we just got the dungeon item right there, which is the Dominion Rod. And you may be wondering what the Dominion Rod even does. And what you can do with it is you can control statues. So now you can probably see what you need to do in this dungeon. So this big statue here belongs on floor number 1. And we are on floor number 8. So the whole idea of this dungeon is we need to move the statue all the way down to the bottom of the dungeon. So in order to do that, we need to control the statue, and we need to work our way backwards through the dungeon. So there's been a lot of puzzles throughout the dungeon that have seemed a bit easy or a bit like there, but you've not needed to do them, and that's because you need to do the same kind of puzzles, but you need to do them again, but with the statue. So for example, there was like a switch puzzle in a certain room that was a bit pointless. I think it was this room here, there was a switch in the middle of the room, which seemed pointless because it didn't really do anything, but it actually does something, but it's just that we needed the statue here first in order for it to work. So we're just going to use the statue now, and once it comes out here, and that's what these things do here that look like bells. They basically teleport the statue or transport the statue or whatever to each room or each floor of the dungeon. It's a pretty cool way of them getting through like different doors. It's a nice idea on how they get through loading zones. And as you can see here, he's got like a massive hammer, so he can actually fight enemies. If you're not careful, as you can see, you can actually hit Link, and it does like heart damage each time. So you want to take him over here, and you want to get a pot. There's loads of pots. If you somehow break all of them, there is a statue I think you can get as well. So moving him on to the floor, and then you want to break the pot, and then the floor will lift up, and he is up here. So that's a pretty cool little puzzle. I guess it's a nice little introduction puzzle to show you the kind of things you're expecting. So you can take him down the stairs, and you basically want to take him over to this switch here. I think there's a hookshot target above me where I can use as well, but I think using the switch is, I guess, cleverer, because I don't know, it just makes sense. It's a pretty cool way of using the puzzle. So there we go, we can put him on the switch and now we can get through. So as you can see, we can destroy all these spikes as well, so this is going to be really easy getting back. Look at this, bang. We don't have to worry about this anymore, we can just run through. So basically this big statue, he can take out loads of enemies for us and it'll make our life a lot easier. And we do have to transport him. Now the annoying thing is you kind of have to walk around him like that and then activate him. And it makes all these rooms really interesting because one, you're coming at them from the opposite side, you're heading downwards instead of upwards. And two, you've got a massive statue with you that you've got to transport. And obviously walking through rooms is really different now. So if you're wondering what that switch does, it activates this platform that rises up here. And what we need to do is we need to put the statue on it, and then we need to take control of another statue. So these little ones here that you've seen, you can actually control these as well, and that will be helpful to know. So we're going to use him, we're going to put him on a switch, and that will lift up the big statue, and then we'll be able to put him inside one of those teleporters, and it will transport him to the next room, and so on. So we're just going to basically do this in every single room until he gets to the bottom. It is a bit of a journey to get to the bottom, so this whole first part is going to be getting him down the first half of the dungeon, and part 3 is going to be second half of the dungeon and the dungeon boss, because this whole part of the dungeon does take a little while. So as you can see, he's come out here. Just to give you a perspective, the first half of the dungeon takes about 17 minutes, and the second half of the dungeon takes about like 20 something minutes. I think it takes like 27 minutes, probably 26, 25. Just timing off of like how long it took to record. So as you can see, the scale puzzle here, 2 statues ain't gonna do it because he is way too heavy for that. So we need to put on way more statues. And if you want more statues, you can look up here because there's 3 statues up here. You actually only need 2 of these. I think you're supposed to use 3, but if you use Link as well, because Link obviously counts as extra weight, you can weigh it down to the right weight. So this statue is really heavy, because as you can see, he weighs the same as 4 statues in Link, and I'm presuming Link is about the same weight as one of the statues. Maybe slightly, he's probably slightly like heavier. So we're going to move him onto here. Now we're going to obviously have to move all these statues back this way. So it's pretty cool how you have to do this. There is an extra statue in the corner of the room if you somehow lose one of them. And there is an extra statue up near where that one was. So there we go, we've moved this one. So as you can still see, it's too heavy, so what I need to do is I need to get off it, and now it is the perfect weight, and we can now move him onto here. So as you can see, if you don't know what you're doing and you don't know about the extra statues, I can imagine you can get stuck on that puzzle for a little while. I remember when I first did it, I didn't really know about the extra statues, so I was just really confused for ages, and I thought I went the wrong way. But no, that is the way to go. So now we can kill these little spiders. If anything, you should maybe get the spider chest, like while you have the statue with you, because you can kill all the spiders with the statue. But I didn't really think that way. I just think get a chest as soon as I'm able to access it. That's the way I think, rather than what is quicker. Because I think in a speedrun that would probably be quicker. So we're going to go on these scales here, and obviously this one is lifted up because there's 4 statues on the other one. So you want to get onto this point here, and you're able to hook shot onto the ceiling. The reason I'm doing this now is because if I did it before, and then I went back into this room, the statue would be back at the start. But if we get the statue to the end of the room, and then we do this, we don't have to worry about the statue resetting back to the start. So now we can use the spinner. I think that's the last time you'll need the spinner in this temple, unless you use it for the broken staircase near the bottom of the dungeon, which you may need to do if you fall down by accident. So right here there's a Poe. There's only 2 Poes in this dungeon. I know in Snow Peak there's 3, Arbiter's Grounds there's 4. Actually, is there 3 or 2? I'm just trying to think. I think there's 3 in it. Yeah, there's 3. So we're going to get this one here. And I know in City in the Sky and Temple of Time there's 2 each. So yeah, there's only 2. At first I thought I was missing like a Poe when I first did it, when I was practicing this dungeon, but then I realised there's only 2. So we're just going to get this chest right here, and it's a stamp. This is a pretty cool stamp. Now both stamps in this dungeon have been really easy in my opinion. Like, they could have made the stamp chests a bit harder or more out of the way, but oh well. But this boss key chest is like one of my favourite boss key puzzles, because it requires you to think kind of outside of the box, because you're so used to using statues, but you actually have to use statues, but you have to use something else as well, and you'll see that in a minute. So there's another statue here. Well, I guess everything's a statue in this temple. So a statue enemy, I mean. So we're gonna kill him, and basically there's 4 switches up here. You'll see there's like a hookshot target we can go up to, and there's 4 switches. And in order to activate them, we have to have things on them, like permanently. Like, I can't just stand on all 4. Like, I have to have 4 things that stay still. So I'm gonna get this statue here. I'm gonna put this on one of them. There's a statue over there that I can put on one of them, right here. So I'm gonna put him here. And there is actually another statue behind me, but what you can actually use is the shell from the enemy. So there's like that like pig enemy kind of thing, I forget his name, the one where you have to pull the armor off him. So you can actually use this shell here to activate a switch. And when I first played this dungeon, that took me forever to figure out. I think that's really clever of Nintendo. It's really clever how you actually have to hookshot it up to where you are. I think if it was next to me, I would have thought to use it, but I didn't think to hookshot it. Even though that is quite obvious, because the way to kill the enemy is by hookshotting it off the enemy. So in a way it is obvious because you know you can hookshot it, but it just never occurred to me to do that. But there you go, once you figure that out, you can then get the boss key. And yeah, we'll need the boss key for the boss door, but we still not found the boss door yet because it is right near the bottom of the dungeon. So we are going to head into this door here, because the statue's in the next room, and that main room there is probably the biggest, it's probably the room you spend the second most amount of time in. This room you spend the most amount of time in is the other big room near the bottom of the dungeon. So let's head through here, and there's a lot of these kind of rooms here that I do like. They're not as memorable, but like rooms are like little puzzles like this. They're still pretty cool though. So we're going to go this way here, and we're going to put the statue on the switch. So there we go, we'll be able to get through there in a minute. I need to get my bow. Why am I trying to use hookshot? Let's get bow. So we need to move this gate like that, so now we can get through. And once we get control of the statue, we can smash up these gates. So let's go this way. So we're going to, why am I using the spinner? I don't need the spinner. So we can swap back to the Dominion Rod. For some reason he fell off the switch even though he was clearly on the switch. So now that we can get through here, there's like an electric thing we can get through now. Let me just put him back on switch. There we go. I was just destroying that gate because I like destroying stuff. There's this chest here. This is the chest we saw ages ago and we can finally get it. So inside of here is a heart piece. I think it's a really well hidden heart piece. And as you can see right here, we've actually gone up to 15 hearts. We were on 14 hearts just, and now we're on 15, so that's pretty cool. At this point in the game, I have got every possible heart piece, so that's the way I'm doing this Let's Play. I'm basically playing on a 100% file, like with dungeons 100% and the overworld 100%. So we've got about halfway through the dungeon, and I think I'm going to end it here. In part 3, I'm going to do the rest of it, and I'm going to do the boss, so look forward to that. If you enjoyed the video, please like the video and subscribe if you're new around here. In the final part, I'll talk about my overall opinion on the dungeon, and I'll talk about the boss, and what can be improved with this dungeon, so see you then.